Castellano, your uncle, was in the control room, and they said, "Okay, you're live," and we just kept going.
Yeah.
And good, bad, or indifferent, it lasted a long time. Okay, so we probably should get moving so we have something to be talking about.
It's not live yet, though.
We're not live yet.
Okay. It's in a minute.
They'll tell us.
You still playing cards in the morning?
Morning?
Don't you go down to, or is it afternoon when you guys play?
Evening.
Evening.
Oh, it's evening?
Yeah.
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night.
Oh, for some reason I thought it was lunchtime or after,
No, he used to play lunchtime bridge. I never really got into that.
When you still play down at, where do you play? Rain, right?
Cummings Park.
Oh, okay. Is it a league or just get together?
There's a club there, and there's
We're
a
nationally affiliated.
nationally
With
affiliated local club.
That's
that,
really
American Contract Bridge League.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's-
You play it all, Bridge? Oh,
So you can make money?
No, no.
No. Oh, okay.
the American
You
Contract-
give money.
Oh, you give money.
It's
Oh, yeah,
honor.
yeah. You told me about that.
It's
This is poker.
honor.
That's
Yeah.
poker. Oh, okay.
Poker,
no,
you play
yeah,
for
I
money.
know.
That's what
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, you
Oh,
can play bridge for money.
You can.
I
Whist, we play,
managed to get through college that way, but
Okay. I was like,
Okay, Nick,
yeah.
thanks.
but bridge is an honor game.
oh, I see. Okay.
It's the
Yeah.
honor of it
And
that you
it's-
pay a lot of
it's
money for.
Much better than money because it's pure ego.
Pure ego.
Yes.
How many guys play?
Huh?
How many guys play?
Uh,
Or people, I shouldn't say guys.
There's generally, it's duplicate bridge, so there's generally between 4 and let's say 8 or 9 tables.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, as many as, I've been there, we've had almost 20
Oh,
tables.
Playing at
Not
the same
recently.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
playing
And-
the same hands.
Right, what you're doing is comparing how you
rotate.
did with the same cards to the other people who had
I
the same
see.
cards.
Okay. So somebody used the same cards.
Yeah.
The,
yeah,
the
they're
cards are
pre-dealt.
pre-dealt and set in a carrier.
Oh,
So
okay.
north, south, east, and west have their hand. When they're through, they put the cards back. Cards go one way, and
Oh,
the
I see. So
people go
somebody's
the other.
monitoring it. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I mean, you could theoretically have 14 copies of the same thing and have everybody playing at exactly the same time, but it's a lot cheaper and easier to do it that way. And
Well,
it's fun.
Okay.
It's, you see how you do it. You can do the same thing in poker, by the way. You
No, we
deal-
like playing poker just for money and different hands.
Yeah, but I mean, you could be
You wouldn't
playing.
deal- I wouldn't want to deal the same hand and go around and beat everybody all around the table.
Texas Hold'em,
No.
you can have 14 tables
Well, yeah, the
scattered
league I'm in,
around the
yeah.
room, and
Yeah.
everybody's playing the same
Oh,
hands
yeah, that's-
at the same time.
Yeah, but you're not. Yeah, but not against. You're playing against your own table, not against the other tables.
Well, you're comparing how you did at your table against how
Oh,
the
yeah,
other
we don't-
people
yeah,
did
we
it
don't
at
do
a
it that
different
way.
table.
We don't do it that way.
Yeah, but you could.
You could, but
Yeah.
that would defeat the purpose of playing because you play all the way until somebody wins,
You could-
and everyone gets
yeah.
eliminated on other tables.
Right.
That's how tournaments work.
So there's one winner.
At the end, there's one winner. Like the World Series of Poker is going on right now in Las Vegas. So they started out with, I think, 7,600 people, and they
surprised
do it
that
for
few.
4 days.
Oh, just in Vegas itself.
Just in Vegas.
Yeah,
Just
because
one
the
tournament.
qualifier things.
Well, the qualifiers all over the world,
Yeah.
and
I see.
then they take as many people as they can get, and they do it over a day. So flight A, B, C, D, then so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then A plays the next one, and B. So they start narrowing it down until it ends in November. So they play for this week and a half, comes down to the final 9, and they play in November.
I see.
And they play. I think the winner gets around $8 million, $9 million,
That's all. Wow.
$10,000 buy-in. Yeah. It's fun.
Wow.
All right, so we finished our tutorial on how to play cards. What I thought we could start talking about at least is what's happening in the country having to do with what happened over a year ago when we were told that the Russians were hacking into we're aware of Democratic operatives and Democratic Party and having it published. And people were saying that maybe the Republicans, specifically Donald Trump, was helping them out, and, as well as getting advantage of it. We were told that didn't happen, that wasn't true, etc. And it turns out that it may not be totally true, but
May not be totally true. How?
that there was
So which part of the story do you want to read the
quid
whole
pro
story, or
quo.
just the
that
middle of
the-
it? Like,
well,
the
we know
news
that the
station
hacking
says-
happened.
Yeah.
We know that WikiLeaks published stuff, and they got this stuff from somebody.
And did they
according
publish
to the
anything that
FBI
was false, or was it all true stuff?
Oddly enough,
It was all true stuff.
it was
Like,
all true stuff that we've
that
heard
was-
about.
We've heard about. Yeah.
I mean, in the
That was
French
evidence.
case,
It was evidence. It was.
this last year, something similar happened, and the French found out about it early enough, and they put in some demonstrably inaccurate things, which were published. And then they could say, this
That was like the CNN story like a month ago. When
Yes.
The news reporters made up all that whole false.
No,
No,
this is
that's-
different.
that's
Oh, it's
different,
different.
actually.
This was the French party. I don't remember which party.
No, it wasn't the news reporter made up the story.
He was fed.
He was.
Oh, he was fed
they were-
incorrect information.
Yeah.
No.
Um,
I didn't read past
the,
a certain line.
Was
so-
it Lamartine or?
Yes, I know that.
I
Was
don't know,
that-
but
was that
all of-
Lamartine group
all of
or
the
no?
news agencies got it.
Yeah.
MSNBC actually researched it, and they researched it to such extent that they found that it was a lie. It was not true. They talked to the people at the NSA, and there was something about the printer characteristics being
Oh, I
imprinted
see.
on the page, and it's a series of dots, and each printer is unique, and some dots were brighter than others, and they shouldn't
so
have been.
it was different levels of.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that some of the things that were said were not what.
were inserted into
Yeah.
the header was correct, but some of the things that were inserted into the body were not true,
Oh wow.
and they don't know who created it, but
I
some-
thought the reporters at CNN were the ones who created it, but they just reported
That,
it.
that was
No.
a different story.
That was a different thing.
Different
that was a different
story.
thing. Oh, okay.
Because
This
the
was-
ones that they got fired for was about
It was like a
month
month and a half ago, right?
a month and a half, 2 months ago.
And it was all.
The thing that Paul's talking about, Rachel Maddow, this was a week and a half ago.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's the woman who the contractor who worked for the NSA, and she's still under custody.
Oh, that's what's.
Oh, so they did find out who.
yeah. What's her
She
name?
leaked the stuff. Is that the one?
She had, right.
Yeah, she leaked it, but what between Friday evening and Monday, somebody changed the thing that she leaked,
Oh, wow.
That's
Okay,
one-
I
that's
hadn't
one
heard
of
of
the-
that.
and they
Yeah.
they actually put names in it, and the documents never put names in. So and so when they saw that, they said, we're not going to go with this story.
Well, at this time, if you go with the Russia email story,
Yeah.
what you have is just that there was an invitation given to Don Jr. to
Right.
come and meet with this Russian lawyer.
Right.
But does that really mean that this was a Russian lawyer representing Putin? Or what does it mean that the guy Goldstone, who was in Britain, inserted that saying this is a Russian lawyer associated with Putin's acquaintances? But what does that actually mean? Does that mean
Well,
she
but
You're
represented?
leaving out some stuff. In the
Can I-
email, it said, we have dirt on Hillary, and it comes from the Russian government, which is supporting your father.
But this is what Goldstone said.
This is, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's what
it didn't say it like that.
Right.
It's,
They
it's-
didn't
it-
identify
it's something
who
that
they
will
were in dealing
favor
with.
your father, not supporting your father.
Right.
This is information that a lawyer who is associated with the Russian government
Right.
has information that would favor your father in the election.
Right.
And that was the premise of getting together.
Right.
And when they
Yes.
got together,
it
was
turned
nothing
out-
like that,
right.
and it was
So-
washed away.
So
Okay.
I'm sorry, I got to get this one out. 'cause
Okay,
it pisses me
get it
off
out,
to
but
such an
it's
extent.
wrong, but get it out.
If I am sitting around and I get a email from somebody,
This is
who
what I was
I've
gonna
heard
say,
of,
yes, you-
who says,
Well,
I have
he
this.
knew the other. He knew the person. He knew the.
Yeah,
He knew
yeah,
the,
no,
he knew
I'm-
the person he was getting the email from.
And I'm saying, I know this person.
I
I
thought you said
got
he
this
didn't know him.
widescreen HD TV that some criminal that you've heard of wants to give you because they think you're a good person. And I say, if what you're saying is true, that's wonderful. And I run down to the meeting. It turns out that it's not
Doesn't
anything I
happen.
want. Doesn't mean that I'm innocent of everything. I went along with the program and then found out that I didn't like what they were offering.
Okay. Now, this is the classic bait and switch, meaning they offer information, but that's not what they were offering at all. What they wanted was the Comiskey Act to be erased.
But
Now the
Yeah.
Comiskey Act, here's the story. The Russians stole, Putin and his friends stole $230 million from the Russian treasury. And they needed to launder it, okay?
or they needed to launder it.
Yeah, meaning they would put it in banks and banks would do something and they'd get it back and
Make
then,
it black.
yeah.
So I give it to you.
Okay.
So-
Wash
You
it.
give it to him.
Right.
And-
it comes back
And
to
then
me.
when it comes back to you,
It's all-
nobody knows
nobody knows
where
where
it
it
came
came
from.
So
That's how you launder.
the Russian banks help people launder funds. Typically, they buy property and then at an exorbitant rate. Now they have a wealthy piece of property, and so that's how it's laundered, and that happens a lot in New York City. The Russian lawyer, I think is Kamitsky or something like that, found out about it, made it public. He was arrested, beaten to death in prison, and he died of a heart attack
You mean in Russia?
in Russia. Yes.
I see.
There's an American who knew him, and he's taken on his life's ambition to punish the people that did it. Now, coincidentally, around sometime around that time, Trump bought a piece of property for $20 million, made a couple of improvements, and sold it to a Russian oligarch for $40 million. He therefore helping him launder the property. The lawyer, that was meeting with Trump Jr. had to move the meeting back to after 3 because she was representing him, the Russian oligarch, in a court case in New York City that had to do with the $230 million of stolen money out of the Russian treasury. And so she worked for the oligarch who has a high position in the Putin regime. So, and she's been here in the United States for a while trying to get that act overturned. Now, the Comiskey Act restricts Russian banks from investing. That's one of the things that Obama did after they invaded Crimea. So the meeting was ostensibly to give information to the Trump campaign, but what they were really asking for was, because Trump had already been nominated, he had already won the nomination. When you become president, will you please get rid of this Comiskey Act, because that's why that's how the Russian oligarchs can launder all their money through foreign banks and then get it back. So that was the classic bait and switch. Trump Jr. volunteers for the seemingly surprising but minimal thing of talking to a foreign national about the election, but it really has to do with the $230 million of stolen money that they're trying to launder. That's the big deal.
But that has not come out.
Yes,
Trump,
it has.
Trump, did he say that?
Well, no, he
No.
Did, he said that the lady was talking about adoptions.
Yes,
There
that's what
was
he
a-
said.
There
Yes.
was a
Adoption is their
Well, no.
synonym for laundering the money.
actually
Oh, is that-
adoptions.
oh.
There was a program by
I know,
which
I know.
well, no, some of the people out there don't necessarily know. It was a program by which Russian kids could get adopted by American. Actually, I knew a woman who did exactly that a number of years ago. And when they passed this Kamitsky Act, Putin canceled that program. So she was there to try to
Okay.
do what was necessary to get rid of the Kamitsky Act so they could have the adoptions.
So, but the adoption piece has come out with Sean Hannity's
Well, of course,
discussion,
you
but
never,
this piece did not come out.
You never talk about anything that's meaningful because then somebody might say, well, yeah, that makes sense. But if you say, well, it was adoptions and who pays attention to adoptions, then the whole thing sounds stupid. For good
Right.
reason, it sounds
So-
stupid because it ain't
so you
true.
can't, they couldn't talk about that.
Yeah.
So they're talking up the naivete of Trump Jr. To ask for the damaging information, hoping that people will not concentrate on the $230 million that they stole. Now, first thing Trump did when he got into office was to fire the prosecutor who was prosecuting.
The $230 million case.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
After having told Chuck Schumer that he would leave her in
Oh,
place.
this is the New York Attorney General, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And then when Sessions got became what Attorney General,
General, yeah.
he settled out of court for $8 million, and the Democrats in the the Congressional
Committee.
Judicial Committee cannot ask questions of Sessions. He won't answer any questions that they ask him, and the Republican person who's in charge said, that's a settled case, we're moving on. So they're not going to investigate.
By the way, this is a good standard way. Don't answer any question that anybody who may not like you asks you. The fact
That's
that
true.
they're your boss
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
Right.
Don't do it.
Right.
And since
So what's wrong with that?
Because the job of these congressional committees is oversight. It is their job to say, are you doing your job correctly, legally, blah, 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 blah. And when you say, screw you,
Well,
You're
no, you're not
effect-
saying screw you. You're following the law that got you there, and to say that I don't
No.
have to answer your
no,
questions.
what,
No.
what
Why not?
law
It-
got you there?
No,
It's
the-
contempt of Congress
Yes.
not to answer the question.
So,
but
so,
but the
so when I
guy
go in front of Congress and I plead the fifth, that's contempt?
you can't plead the fifth.
No, I can't.
You're not on trial.
Right.
Everybody goes in there when
No,
they're when
No,
they're
you
No,
can't.
no.
You, if you're not on trial, if you're not in jeopardy,
Sorry,
you
not the
cannot
fifth.
plead the fifth.
It's I don't want to answer that with what's the terminology? I'm losing it.
That's
Because
what
on the grounds that it may incriminate.
incriminate,
me.
yeah.
That's the Fifth
Exactly, that's the
Amendment.
Fifth
Okay.
Amendment. And everybody who goes in there doesn't want to answer a question.
Isn't that what
does
Flynn
that.
did? Flynn
No, they
did
don't.
that.
They
say,
absolutely do.
I
Every-
feel uncomfortable about answering
Yeah,
that.
that's the new
Yeah.
way. That came up this year.
That may have
That's
come
the
up
new
this year,
thing.
but every other one that I saw was exactly that. I'm not going to answer that on the grounds it might incriminate myself.
Okay, if Sessions
It's the same
said it might incriminate himself, somebody might say, "Oh, you mean you might have done something
But
wrong?"
I guess I'm
No, Sessions did not say that. He said, I'm not going to answer any questions you ask me.
No,
Any
he says it
question
makes me
asked by
nervous.
a
He
Democrat.
says it makes me
No,
nervous.
no, that's a different group.
That's a different group. Okay.
Yeah.
But about overall, what I look at when I look at it, you have Republicans who are in control of the Senate or in Congress. Isn't that part of the thing that they make the rules, how the committees run. And so if the victorious writes the history, victorious make the rules, and rules are the way they are. So,
Right.
but at the same time, if Democrats really have some dirt up there, which
Yep.
they can really investigate, it's just like Nixon's time. Nixon's time, you had something which really unraveled.
Yes.
And no
But-
matter whether it was
but even it-
Democrat or Republicans, but
But they
they
would come
pursued it.
forward,
But
they
at that
pursued it,
time, the
right.
Democrats pursued it.
Right.
And that's what is happening right now also. The Democrats are pursuing it outside the Congress.
Yes.
Yeah, but
And
they're pursuing every little piece that they can find.
Well, that's
hopefully,
what-
hopefully to grab onto something
but-
that makes sense.
But that's
so
what
far
hap-
nothing has made
yes,
sense.
but that's what has happened even during Nixon's time.
Wait,
Nixon's
you
time
don't think
happened.
this makes sense?
Nixon's
The-
time
the-
happened.
I don't, I don't,
The
I don't know-
laundering
I don't
of
know,
the
I don't know-
money?
I don't know anything about this, so I can't comment on
Okay.
it. I haven't seen that.
did-
The only thing I know is what I've read up to that point. So I haven't had any insight into this. I saw the interview with that lawyer. Nothing was mentioned with that. I saw
Which lawyer?
the Russian lawyer.
Oh, the Russian lawyer.
Yeah.
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 She
So,
may have
and then-
walked into that meeting not having any idea why she was there.
Well, from what I read, Trump was going in there for something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He was going for the dirt.
Well, he was going for the dirt.
Yeah.
So
That's the cover
but-
story.
yeah, I know, but what you're saying
That's
is
the
he was
cover
going
story
in
they
there to
created.
help launder money. That's what you're saying.
Huh?
Trump was going in there to help launder money.
No.
No.
No, but
she,
that's
she was
what you're
going in
telling me.
there to get the
Kaminsky Act.
the act removed, so they.
So he knew that going in.
No, he didn't.
he didn't.
So I'm-
He's clueless.
I know he's clueless. That's why I don't. Because
He
you went
was
to this
looking
thinking.
for a different pocket to pick.
No, he was trying to get information to help his father with the election.
Yeah,
Right.
he was
Right. So that's what he was going
Which,
for.
by the way, is illegal against
wait,
campaign laws.
It is illegal.
It is illegal given campaign laws as they exist today. Not tomorrow, but today.
So wait
So
a minute,
he-
so back up
yeah.
a second. So all the help that Hillary got, was that legal or
From-
illegal? From anybody that gave her help.
From
From
the law
from
which
says-
Russians?
the law says from a foreign government.
She's not a she's a lawyer. She's not a foreign
A,
government.
she was representing.
She's a lawyer.
That
She-
part we
she's
don't-
a
we-
lawyer.
okay.
She was
She's a
representing
lawyer.
the Russian
Well,
government.
we don't
lawyer.
know
She's
that,
not-
actually.
she's not
In
a-
addition-
she's not a government
Right.
person.
But
She's a
according
lawyer.
to
So-
what Trump thought she was representing the government. He
It
went
doesn't
in
matter.
there-
He went in there to
with
talk
the-
to somebody to get information to help his father.
He went
It didn't
in
matter.
there with full knowledge that he was going to
Get
commit
information.
a felony.
He didn't know he was going to commit a felony.
Of course he did.
He did not.
He said that
He had
the
no
information
idea.
came from the Russian government.
That's how.
the
inside
email
going in
that he
there-
published
Right.
said, come to this meeting, this
That he published from the other person that sent it to him.
Right.
Saying, come here.
because
this
the
information is going to help
government
your father.
has information to help your father.
From
That
the Russian
is
lawyer.
illegal.
A lawyer from somebody else.
Nobody knew who was coming.
The lawyer was the person in the meeting, not
Well,
a government official.
But nobody
The
knew
lawyer
who
was
that
the
lawyer
lawyer was
was
the
coming.
person
the
in the
lawyer
meeting.
was the person representing the Russian
She-
government.
no.
Yes, she was.
The lawyer was in
At
there
3
with
o'clock she
information
was.
for the government, for the Russian government.
She did.
But that's not what happened.
It is what happened.
No, it isn't what happened.
Well-
she has no connection with the Russian government.
She has
No,
intimate
zero.
connection. She is.
She even said it in the interview with Lester Holt. She has
Are you
no,
going to believe that?
Oh, so she's saying so.
No,
so
I-
here's another smoking gun. Lester Holt says, I got this great interview. I got to bring her on. She can nail everybody. And she said, I was in there talking about orphans.
Yeah,
Guess
right.
what? Interview ended like that
Well,
because they had no more dirt. Interview over.
at this time,
Keep
So
in mind,
again,
keep in mind what
everybody's reaching
what-
for something.
Keep in
to
mind what
attach to
Donald
that isn't
Trump
happening.
thought he was doing.
I don't care what he thought he was
Yes,
doing.
that's
Did anything
critical.
happen? No, it isn't.
The fact of the
critical.
matter
It
is,
isn't
He
critical.
thought his intent
It isn't
was
critical.
to
He was trying to
break
get
the
information
law
to help his father with the election. Same thing Hillary
by
got
doing
from.
something illegal.
He doesn't
whom?
know it's illegal. Same thing Hillary got with emails about, here, we're going to have a debate. Here's all the questions so you can prepare.
Actually,
Well-
it was one question.
All the questions.
No,
No,
one
it was
question.
all the
It was
questions.
one question.
All
It
the
was something,
questions. Every single question she
Donna
got.
Brazil said, I think
And then
this is
everything
going to
else
come
with,
up.
with Bernie being secondhand through this whole thing. He was never supposed to get the nomination. And it was one-sided the whole way. He was fighting an uphill battle because everybody was helping her.
But the only
And those emails proved it.
the only question right now is actually did the Russian woman represent a foreign power? That's all.
And,
But she didn't.
Actually,
And-
as a
and
matter of
that
fact-
that is
yes.
what we
But
don't.
that's immaterial.
No, it isn't immaterial.
It's
She didn't.
immaterial because
Bob,
Donald
Bob,
Trump.
you're arguing the wrong question.
Yeah.
Who who cares whether he talked to a foreign entity? That's small potatoes compared to a $230 million.
No,
I'll give you that, but Trump.
but that's the big deal.
But Trump-
That's the big
thought
deal.
he was going to commit.
and Donald Trump
A crime.
participated
And
in
was-
that money
So,
laundering.
so why,
well,
why isn't he
The
arrested?
president.
Yeah,
Why isn't he arrested?
but
Why isn't he
Because
arrested?
his father is president.
No, it has nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
Why
of
isn't he
course it
arrested?
is.
I think
Absolutely
no.
not.
I think
Why
at,
isn't he
at,
arrested
no, at
if
this
it was a felony?
Well, at this time, I think there is not any direct line of
There's none. Zero.
taking the conversation the way it is to Putin.
There is a direct line.
It's all.
Well,
it's
the-
all.
the-
The
well,
lawyer.
that has
wait a
not
minute.
come out
That hasn't come
as a
out.
direct
The
line.
lawyer is the personal attorney for the oligarch who has a high position in the Russian government who participated in the stealing of the $230 million.
So then you're saying she's a representative of the Russian government then?
Absolutely.
So then why isn't
And
why,
the
then
Russian
why
go-
isn't,
and
why
the
isn't
Russian
Trump
government
Jr. in jail?
always the Russian government
Why
uses
isn't Trump Jr. in jail?
Well, that
Because
is
his
what
father
needs to
is
be.
president.
No,
Has nothing to
that,
do with
well,
it.
I think.
Oh yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Because-
Has absolutely nothing to do with it.
By the way-
if he committed a felony and he was asked to come in front of Congress and he answered the questions the way you guys are saying he should answer the questions, then they should take him out in chains.
Well,
If what you're saying about the lawyer is true.
he is going to
No,
testify.
I know he's going to testify
But at
because
the-
he has nothing to hide.
But well,
What
Well,
everything,
he's already
everything he did,
told
he
everything
publicized.
Well,
that
all
we're aware of
publicized.
right now.
Yes, but we don't
The question
know.
was there something we're not aware of? For example, the time train, very interesting. Soon after that meeting,
before that meeting, actually. Okay, you
Okay,
finish.
well, okay, I'm not sure what you're
well,
referring.
okay.
They go to the national convention soon after the meeting, and the only thing that the Trump campaign asks for the platform committee to do is drop the objection to Russia invading and annexing Crimea. The only thing, nothing else. Soon after this meeting, so maybe there was more to it. Maybe there wasn't. We don't
Maybe
know.
there was,
but
maybe
it's
there wasn't.
interesting that that was the only problem they had.
No, but at the same time, what I was going to say is that at the same time, Trump did promise the voters
That
that
there was some more
there
stuff.
was dirt coming in
Yeah.
his way, which he was
think it
going
was
to spill.
before that meeting.
But
I
just
think it was
be-
the timing
it was-
of
the timing was
it
right
was just
before.
before, but
Yeah.
that means apparently he was aware of something happening.
Well, maybe his son told him.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
that's-
going,
that's
I'm
possible.
Going to this meeting.
Yeah, but-
I'm going to get some information.
Yes.
Oh, by the way,
But
Trump
that-
has
Go.
said, I didn't know.
I didn't know anything. But
I
that's
know
where
nothing."
it gets
Right,
a
you
little
don't know,
murky.
because it's
Well, that's where it gets murky. That
Right.
if Trump was promising us that he has dirt to spill and it is going to be juicy, he gave a whole bunch of adjectives at
right.
that time. And I'm waiting, but then
The following
happens.
Monday, nothing.
Yeah,
it
about
was
come Monday
quiet.
night, he didn't say anything. So that means that he was anticipating, he knew. And now again, how can you draw a line? We don't know. It's not possible to draw a line to him at the moment.
Right.
But hopefully, there may be something that will come out after he testifies. We don't know. We are not the party
No.
to ask.
The
but
guy-
something may come out.
Something-
and
right,
that
exactly,
that
something may come
Kaminsky Act also might come out because that has not come out in that detail what you described.
Yeah, the guy who's really in trouble is not Trump Jr., but the other.
And Manafort is
Manafort-
some,
I mean,
some
that-
Well,
Kushner's
Manafort,
in major
he
problems.
should know.
Yes.
Because he was the campaign chairman and he's been in politics a long time. But Jared also is.
Jared, but-
because he lied on his
That is
security
another.
clearance.
That's a problem. But actually, this is also where it gets
Multiple
actually-
times
You
now.
you did get. You do have the murky situation because you are bringing in not only Donald Jr. in the meeting, but you are also bringing in the manager of the campaign
Right,
in,
right.
and then you are also bringing in the most trusted confidant of the president in. So that means they did expect something to show up.
Right, right.
And whether something showed up or not, we are not told. We are only told that it came to nothing.
Right.
But do we really trust that
And
also?
the
We don't
reason
know.
it came, the reason it came to nothing is she that was not.
We
the
don't know that, but that's what we are
She had
told.
nothing to tell him, but except for the strong desire of the Russian government to get rid of the Comiskey Act, because it was really hampering the ability of all these oligarchs and Putin himself to unload money to foreign banks and then get it back later.
So what you're actually then saying is the same thing. What I was trying to say
Yeah.
is that we don't know the details of what went down there.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
But
Yeah.
we do know that just before she went to the meeting, she was representing the Russian government.
Or just the oligarch.
No, the Russian government. She was the personal lawyer of the oligarch, but she was also representing the Russian government at that hearing or trial.
But, by the way, can I throw a totally different explanation of what's been going on with this Russia thing, more or less from the beginning? We keep saying Trump is out there and he owes a bunch of money to Russian oligarchs and the banks, and et cetera, and it's probably all true. I don't know.
I'm sure it's all true.
Okay. I think that this whole Russia thing is a plot to destabilize the United States, and Putin never expected to get Trump as president. He probably was fairly happy, at least for a while, to get him for president. But Trump is too unstable to be a real partner. So what's really happening is Russia does stuff, and Trump says, oh, it was this, that, and the other thing. And then Russia leaks the truth. If Russia really wanted to have Trump be the president and their partner, they wouldn't be undermining him. And a lot of the stuff that's coming out, I think, is being leaked by Russia. And if Wiki...
You totally lost me.
Okay. For example, there was a meeting just after Comey was fired with the Russian ambassador. And Trump says to the ambassador, I finally got rid of this nut job. All this pressure about the Russia thing is off my back. Now things will be good. Oddly enough, a couple of days later, the translator for the program, by the way, the only one who was in there other than the Russian ambassador was this translator, says, "Oh, that's what was said. This whole thing about the nut job, Comey, that came from the Russian translator.
And
There have been other
you believe
things
that?
like that.
But
Huh?
there
You
were other
believe that?
people in that
Oh,
room.
actually,
Two
it
other-
was quoted.
There was other people.
There
Right.
were
There were other people in that room.
The Russian photographers were there.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
There weren't
But
any.
they weren't there the whole time, though. I think they were only there
They were
for
there
part
for
of the time.
for the
The
first part of
translator
the
was there the
pictures.
whole
Yeah,
time.
but there weren't any other Americans.
Understood, but these guys I don't think were there during this particular discussion. But the translator was there, and suddenly the translator is undermining Trump.
Well, you may have a point there, because you have to recognize that Putin is a KGB hand. So he knows all the tricks in the book, in the KGB book. Maybe even he knows in CIA book. And so you cannot really trust the way, you cannot predict which way he's going to go.
I'm sure you can predict once you understand his motivations.
Well, even if you understand his motivation, but I don't think you can predict which way he's going to go to either undermine or pump up the Trump stuff.
But
Well,
Depending
okay,
upon his situation, depending
let's go
upon what
back-
his
let's go back
motives
to the,
are.
Probably
Dr.
does both.
But
to the
that
junior
depends on
meeting.
where he's going.
It was described today as a dangle. The Russian say, hey, come here, I'm going to give you something wonderful. I'm not telling you what it is. I'm telling you in print, the Russian government is helping you out here because we really like your dad. And then, so now they've gotten the guy into a compromising position, and they also told him, bring high-level people because this is really big. So they get Kushner, they get Manafort, who they could have, maybe he was busy, they could have gotten Donald himself. And now,
Maybe even Foley.
well,
Maybe
and so they've now got these people in a compromising position. Now they let out information, or maybe
Well, they didn't let out information. Supposedly, the New York Times had his.
Yeah, I
had
know,
the
but how did they
information.
get it?
yes.
Well, they didn't have the actual emails. They had information of it. So how they got it, I don't know.
They got the emails again.
And he, well, he gave them the emails.
no, they got the
They,
emails.
they had the emails
and they were
before
going to publish it, and he
They
he
didn't
got
have-
out in
they
front.
didn't-
They told him they were going to publish it, and
They told him they're going to publish emails. And he didn't know what they had.
Okay, that may
So
be
he didn't
true.
know what they had.
So he published.
So he said, I
himself.
better publish everything,
Right, which
to
is a
make
smart
sure
thing to
that
do.
something that they may or may not have doesn't show up. So he gave them everything.
that is why I'm saying that you can't really trust what Putin is going to be doing.
Well, you can't really trust anybody.
But
You can't trust what anybody's going to do.
particularly Putin, because you never know what his strategy is.
Right.
Because on the one hand, he's playing my dear Trump. On the other hand, he's going to undermine him, and
He might-
he's
yeah,
going
you
to
don't know. Right,
open
you
up
don't
all
know.
the secrets. I don't know what else he has.
Right.
And he might play all the cards close to his vest, close to his chest,
Until he
and
needs it.
bring them out at the
Right.
right time.
And-
So that's
but
why
he's
I
winning because
They
and he's winning.
because Trump has resigned, written his name, and said, "I don't want to be leader of the Western world."
That is what is frightening now, actually.
No, he's gone out of his way to say, "America first. All the rest of you guys screw." And we need you help for this thing. Well, okay, we'll do something here. But he does not want to lead. He does not want to represent the Western Alliance. He doesn't want the Western Alliance. Some of his buddies who are actually making money off of that, convincing him, maybe it's not such a great idea.
You're sounding like this is the first time anybody at a high-level official in the government is doing anything like that.
No.
Helping their friends or doing anything like
I
that.
am not sounding that way. I
That's
agree
exactly
totally.
how you're sounding.
I agree totally.
You're exactly how that's exactly how you're sounding.
But-
and
but-
unfortunately, because everything that's going on with losing the campaign, however many months ago it was, everybody from the top down can't live with it. So they're trying to find something to undermine everything that happened for this
Right.
election,
By the
and
way,
to
if-
get him out of there.
By the way, Trump is one of the few things he's actually accomplished is he started a commission to find those 3 million illegal votes that he
Five.
talked about.
Five
but they
million.
said
It was five,
they
it was
said-
three, I
oh, whatever,
thought.
it doesn't-
Okay, maybe a couple more here.
But
and
there
with
is
it.
a commission right now.
There is a commission. And what are they doing? They're saying, give us all the voter data, including all the information that anybody who wanted to do ID theft would be able to do. Put it in one place where we know that the Russians got into some of the
So
local...
now it's back to the Russians are.
But the point
Anybody.
is, it's insanity. It is true insanity
I feel like Bigfoot
what
just
they're
walked
doing.
in here and he's behind the curtain right now.
But what I'm going back to this. Trump did give a good speech in Poland about
Yeah, absolutely did.
about the Western civilization and Western alliance.
Right.
But I still feel that he has to exert the leadership throughout the world, because what is happening is China is becoming more and more belligerent.
Yes.
You have Iran becoming belligerent. You have
Russia
becoming belligerent the way you see it. And now
Saudi Arabia
Saudi
is saying,
Arabia-
we get to pick who your friends are.
Yeah, I mean, Saudi Arabia is getting the real candy with all that guns and stuff. And they are now what has happened in the Middle East is suddenly Qatar has become
A par.
a pariah. I mean, but at the same time, why? Because this Middle East, Saudi Arabia has been trumped up by Trump, and so you have really a polarization there. But I don't know where we are going.
Where we're going is the whole West is going to splinter, and the only, in Putin's mind, the only power left will be him.
Well, that is the dangerous thing. No, there is China. China and Russia.
I think that he thinks he can deal with China.
So
I
you
doubt
think
he
he can do this in 2.5 years? Putin.
he has accomplished most of it in several months. Why
Okay.
couldn't he do
So
it in
you're
2.5
saying he's going to do
years?
this? So I just want to write it down on paper so
Okay.
I know when it's going to happen. Because
It's happening now.
Yeah, as we
don't see it.
speak. As we speak.
Yeah.
okay.
But I would be more wary of the Chinese expansion, because they are really expanding wherever they like, and not only militarily, they are also expanding economically, and you can't stop them unless there is some kind of leadership shown by the West together. But right now, what we have a splintering of the common market, and with the Western alliance, with the U.S., and you also have the splintering of Britain with the common market.
Right.
So that is kind of going in disarray. So Putin can walk in anywhere he likes.
And everybody now has to.
Your observation about China, actually, it's not all that big. It's only twice as big as the United States and Russia combined.
Yeah.
Right. No, it is. Oh, yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
And
No,
they have the
not if you
muscle.
include Siberia.
But they
No,
do.
I'm not talking about land area. I'm talking about
population.
population.
Oh, yeah.
People.
Oh, by the way, India will be bigger than China probably in 20 years.
Yeah, but China has the muscle right now.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
China's really got to start worrying about India.
Yeah, but that's down the line.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't see India.
It's not
I
going to.
think
It's not
what
going to be
Putin is
that way.
trying to do is reestablish the concept of spheres of influence, where he owns the Warsaw Pact area and has a weakened Europe.
But that's been his plan for a long time.
Yeah, well,
that's
he's
been-
he's
that's
getting
been-
it.
and he's been slowly doing right.
Well,
Exactly.
he's getting it, and it's not
Right.
so slow right now.
but it's been over a long time.
It's been over a long time,
right.
and it's
gaining-
accelerating
yep.
now because he has a compliant U.S. president.
But at the same time, you have to see that who expected Russia would be getting into Afghanistan and creating all the mess at the time they did. So we don't know which way, what
Right.
is Putin thinking actually.
Well, actually, Afghanistan was predictable, and
Well-
they had been in there for about 15 years before
Well,
the
as a
revolution
proxy, but
Yeah,
they did walk
well,
in
yeah.
then.
Yeah, and it was a tremendous mistake going there.
Right.
Right. Big mistake.
So
Well, at that time, CIA thought we would draw them in and it will become their. Well, that was after the fact.
They're Vietnam.
Yeah, but that was after they walked in.
It turned out that they were right,
Yeah.
but that was the plan.
Yes.
Afghanistan, in and of itself, is a worthless area.
actually, no.
There are a lot
They
of
have,
see?
they have what is it? What
They
kind
have
of
poppies.
what kind of chemicals are they?
They have a lot of resources. I don't remember now each of those. but
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that can be dug up.
Yeah, rare earth,
Rare earth, yes.
Okay.
elements used in batteries
Yeah,
and
everywhere.
So it's it's in those hills.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Interesting.
but when they went in originally, that was not the plan.
No, nobody knew it was there.
Yeah. So it became one of those. Did you ever read 1984? Okay, 1984. They have these three oligarchs that ran everything, and they fought over Africa. And that's essentially the same kind of thing as is going on right now. We build these three spheres of influence. The United States goes from being the strongest to the weakest, but they still have their function. And everybody fights over something inconsequential so that it keeps the population worried about the war instead of about everything else.
And that also keeps the gun manufacturers and traders happy.
Yeah,
And isn't that part of capitalism?
there are other things that people could be wasting their money on.
Yeah, I think the people who really are interested in this whole thing are the people running banks, the world money, because they just keep getting richer and richer by the by the huge numbers.
if you include all international corporations, then I'll buy into that.
Yeah, the
Because Apple is making a ton of money, and they have their choice
Amazon
of
is
banks.
making a ton
Yeah.
of money. Google's making a ton of
And-
money.
They made a ton of
And
money
the-
the other day. Amazon.
Prime Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The laws are being doctored to make corporate nations, as opposed to where you live is not important. Who you work for becomes the key to your success or failure.
Well, has
But
that
that's been like that forever.
I mean,
No,
hasn't
it
that
hasn't.
been? No,
Absolutely.
actually, that's
IBM was a startup. How many years ago?
Yeah.
About 70 years ago,
Right.
IBM
Dell was a
Yeah, about
Dell
30.
was a college dorm. Every big company started out small.
No,
Apple started out small.
I'm not talking about whether they started
Now
out
it-
small. I'm talking about the concept. Back in the 50s, when General Motors was an American company,
Yeah.
truly an American company, they did work here, they sold here, they sold elsewhere as well, but it was
Right.
America that they
Yeah.
was the thing. And they said, what's good for
General
Motors is General
for
Motors
Toyota?
is good for the USA.
Oh, okay.
no.
We did trade programs, all kinds of things to help them out because that was helping the American worker, the American citizen.
Yep.
Now that General
Deadliners.
Motors is an international, well, it's not so, let's go with Exxon or something like that, an international corporation that may be headquartered here, which could change in literally a month.
True.
They could go somewhere
Yeah,
else.
True.
The trade deals to help American corporations, they're not American corporations. They are international corporations. It's not a crime. It's not illegal, immoral, or fattening. But we need to understand what it is that we're helping. We're not helping.
You're helping.
You're not helping your neighbor. You're helping some big corporation for reasons they want something for what reasons that we don't understand.
well, historically, you look at the British East India Company.
Okay.
Started in Britain,
Right.
little company, bunch of people got their money together, sent the ships over to India for trade, and look what happened. They started worldwide dominion. Not only they governed India, they governed most of the world actually. Eventually, and they started. You had the Anglo-French wars. You had the American War of Independence. You had the same thing then started eventually the war. Sounds disconnected, but eventually you got the World War I that dismantled all the Middle East, and it was all because of this bunch of people who started a little corporation, and then you had this big monster built out of that
And-
because of the
right.
international involvement, international trade.
Because
and the same thing can happen
Right.
with any of the companies, and this is happening.
Right,
I'm
it is
agreeing
happening.
with you. The British Crown became a tool
Yeah.
of the East India Company up until whenever it became India became, instead of being run by East India Company, became a crown colony.
After 1856.
Okay, so
But-
for a couple of hundred years,
Yes.
this East India Company was their own nation
Yeah.
that the British Crown, which was the most powerful country in the world
By that time, it was not powerful at the time when East India Company started.
No, but by the mid 1700s, it was the
Mid-1700s,
most
yeah,
powerful
mid-1700s,
country
yeah.
in the world,
Yes.
and continued that way. But it was a tool of this corporation. We are to that point now. It's just more than one corporation.
Of course.
It's gonna grow. It's
What we need to do, and one of the things that Trump actually said that made sense to me at least, is
say that again.
yes, Trump made something that said something that made sense to me. He's not following through on
Go
it,
ahead, go
but
ahead.
he made sense to me, which was we have to start making trade deals that make sense for the American citizenry, not American companies.
Right.
And he hasn't, other than getting out of NAFTA, which, by the way, Hillary
No, not
was
NAFTA. The Paris deal.
Paris deal.
yeah, no, not,
Climate deal.
no, not
No,
the
no,
climate deal. the Asian,
Orient thing.
the Oriental trade
Well,
program.
He's been getting out of a lot of things. I forget which.
Pacific,
Well, yeah.
Pacific
Pacific
Treaty.
If
Yeah.
Yeah,
Obama
trade
said
deal.
it was good, he's
He's
gone.
on. He's going
Yeah.
right. I don't want to
Hey,
be part of it.
Obama doesn't want mercury in the water. Put it in.
Put it in. That's right.
But okay,
You grew up with mercury in the water. You did okay.
No, I don't think there was mercury in. Well, you had others. There was other stuff. in
other
the
my
stuff.
water.
daughter was conceived in Woburn, about a mile from wherever the dump was.
Oh, but that was not mercury. But was that mercury? Or
It was a
chromium?
lot of
Chromium.
stuff in there.
Chromium, I
a
think.
lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
Because
in
that
there.
was tannery, right?
Tanner.
No,
No,
this was,
it was-
Grace.
Yeah.
W.R. Grace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they had
they
all
were-
the chromium, I guess. There.
Well, I mean, the tanneries were there, but Grace was the one who got
Yeah,
caught.
Grace. They were
Grace.
industrial products.
Yeah. So,
Well, in Woburn, you also had the gelatin company, Atlantic Gelatin. Is that right?
I don't know.
Yeah, the food company
Yeah.
right off the highway there.
I think it was called Atlantic Gelatin.
Something like that. But it was they had more than just that. That was one of the parts of it. But
Yeah.
that was like Nabisco's, not Nabisco, but
Eventually, it was they were the major suppliers of
they
gelatin,
have gelatin right there. Yeah.
and the smell would waft all over the neighborhood.
well,
It
you
sits
got the
there empty
tannery.
now.
You're,
It's a huge
Yeah, now it's
place. It
gone.
sits
Yeah,
there
yeah,
empty.
you've got all this stuff, all these bones you got to get rid of,
Yeah.
and they found a way to do it, which is good.
Yeah.
But no, and we're getting off topic a good bit. But when we begin to realize that what is good for some international corporation, which, by the way, again, is not illegal and